Hello and welcome once again to What's Out There, the paranormal podcast from Out There Paranormal. And chatting for you tonight, we have myself, Nigel.
And myself, Juliet.
Now, this is a bit weird because normally I have things written down and I've got an idea what I'm going to talk about.
And do you know what, folks? Me, first time in a while, I've actually done some writing too.
I know. But we didn't need to do any writing because we were going to try and ad-lib this one. But we got some idea. Oh, yeah.
But we've done, I put some guidance together and things. I know I went a bit down a rabbit hole.
You did you?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
You did as well.
I did.
It's really epic.
I did. But, we've got some information that we can use for another podcast.
We have, yeah. You did find some really good stuff, actually. So
interesting.
The reason why we're doing this episode, and the reason why it's called Haunted or Cursed, is because the last episode we spoke about haunted objects. But I realised after sort of playing it back and listening to it and editing it, we didn't actually sort of talk about haunted objects. I just went and found a load of random things to furnish your house with.
Well, yes, but we didn't go into depth about haunted objects, but they were still interesting, weird, spooky, creepy, haunted objects.
Oh, they were great stories.
Very scary.
Yeah. Oh, those paintings.
Oh, that paint. I did not like the one with the blood. Oh, yeah. That had been painted by a chap with his own blood.
The anguished man.
Do you know what, though? But I loved the look and listen. I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Well, you have to, I think, with things like objects,
yes.
You have to see them
absolutely
to understand them. We could sort of describe it, but you need to have that image
and
to
it's
see
fully
it.
immersive as well.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you haven't listened to the previous podcast, rewind, please do, because it's a look and listen experience and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. You can find the images on Substack and you can actually find the link to the podcast as well, so you can play it straight from there if you want to.
Yeah.
But haunted and cursed objects, very, very similar, but also very, very different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with them. You've got to look at what they actually do. So haunted objects are what they say. They're basically an item that's said to have some kind of spirit inside it.
Yeah.
These objects will do things, whether it be dolls that move.
Yeah, like Annabelle.
Yeah.
Scary.
Absolute classic, isn't it? Or like the ones you mentioned in the previous episode, where you've got paintings where the figures appear to move inside the paintings, or the mirror with people trapped inside it, or the sofa that made you feel weird when you sat on it. It's things where there could be something trapped inside it, whereas cursed objects are more likely to be things that are going to do something horrible to you. So, for instance, you could sit on a cursed chair, and then later on you die from the fact that you sat on this cursed chair.
Yeah, or items that are part of a voodoo curse or something like that.
That's it. Objects that have that sort of curse attached to them that
because
have been given to you.
Sorry to interrupt. They used to actually bury things in the ground, didn't they, for voodoo curses? And
they did, yeah.
In the land or under people's houses and things like that, or within the walls to make something happen.
And they'd make it personal as well, because they would take your hair, or something like that, and then wrap it around the object. Or in
witchcraft, nails, hair.
Yeah. They'd always try to use part of you to actually put the curse on.
That's right.
And sometimes you could actually curse an object and then give it to the person to make sure then that curse went with them. So you'd be given a gift, jewelry or something like that, and the curse would be enclosed in that. So then you would open a locket, for instance, and you'd let the curse out. So,
that's scary stuff.
It is really, really scary stuff. And it's big business. Haunted objects are big business.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to wind it back a little bit here, and some of you might remember this. There's a TV show called The Haunted Collector.
Yes.
And it was a guy, I think his name was John Gattis.
Brilliant.
If I remember rightly. But he used to go out with his team, and they'd go and do an investigation. There would always be some kind of object involved that whatever it was causing the problems in the building. And then Gattis would take this object away, and he would put it underneath a glass dome in his own sort of collection. And I'm not sure. I think that's probably one of the forerunners of these things. Because it goes back a little while, and then you have man himself, Mr. Bagans, with his
the Haunted Museum.
The museum, yeah.
Well, there's quite a lot. There's quite a lot of haunted museums now that have sprung up, aren't there?
There's collections everywhere.
Yeah, they've become a thing, haven't they?
There's so many objects are said to have these things in them, But how did they get there? What put the spirit into that object? how did the spirit get in there? Why are they in there?
Well, exactly.
You know, you've got to think about why. Always intrigued me as to think why these things happen. I can understand, say for instance, you had a necklace on.
Hmm.
I was wearing a St. Christopher necklace, yeah?
Yeah.
I was shot in a robbery or something like that. And I can understand having that necklace on, my spirit might have gone into that. So there's part of
It's
me
possible.
contained in there,
Yeah.
you know. And you're looking at other things where people have been killed by certain things, like the classic is when we talked about psychometry last time round, when you said about that bayonet,
Yep.
and you sense that that actually had been driven into
And I
someone.
was spot on as
Yeah,
well.
it was horrifying, was because you just felt, you said, this has killed someone, I can feel it, and it's like,
Yeah.
And you get
And
that
Tracy knew the history of that.
She did,
subject.
yeah.
Tracy, who's in our group.
The other psychic in our group,
Yeah.
So, but do they contain, let's say, for instance, the bayonet we were just talking about, but is that the spirit of someone that was captured in it, that was killed by it? You know, the act of him being killed by the bayonet, did that then mean that his spirit got trapped in that bayonet?
Possibly what the emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been sort of various experiments that have gone on historically. You know, back in the 1970s, 1980s, there was a French immunologist called Jacques Bonneviste. And he did a lot of experiments on water to suggest that it can retain memory. And he wrote different papers on it, and he claimed that the molecules can actually communicate with each other and exchange information without being in physical contact, and that at least some biological functions can be mimicked by certain energetic mode characteristics of a given molecule. That's a headache, right?
That is a headache. So you're saying, for instance, the bayonet's made of iron, so the iron molecules could then actually hold information and change information between themselves.
Yeah. I mean, he did these experiments with water, and the scientists were very divided on what he did.
Yeah.
He had scientists that said, yep, you know, this is really good. This is really interesting. You know, he was a well-respected chap. And then you had the scientists that said this is absolutely a load of crap. And the problem, it started to go wrong because they started to replicate his experiment, or his team were part of replicating what he claimed had happened, and they couldn't replicate it.
Right.
So then what happened was he got chucked out, he got disrespected. He then tried to self-fund his own research. It didn't work. And, it was a real shame. I think the poor chap passed away in 2004. I think he had a heart problem in the end and passed away. But that research was actually really very interesting in what he was looking at. And since he passed away, people have been able to replicate his experiment.
Yeah. Which is what science is all about. You need to be able to prove something is valid.
But
you need to be able to repeat the experiment.
But they're still divided on the opinion, even though now they have replicated it. There's still scientists out there that don't believe. So the argument goes on.
You get that across all sorts of fields of science. There are always going to be areas that disagree with each other and say that doesn't work. I mean, we're talking about sort of items retaining a memory of some kind.
Yeah.
There's classic with the stone tape theory. Could that work? Other people will shoot that one down. So
well, again, there was that experiment, wasn't there? And it did happen, but they chucked it out because they said, the experiment wasn't big enough, wasn't it? Wasn't that the reason?
I think so. Yeah, it wasn't actually. They didn't do enough of it. Yeah. So,
I think, to be honest, I think people are always going to disagree.
Oh God, yeah.
Because it's not something that we would expect to happen. It's unusual.
In this field, there always is going to be disagreement. You always get the split between skeptics and believers, because then you're always going to get that. And the skeptics will look at science and say, I'm sorry, but science proves that this can't happen. And then when science does actually do something and say, well, actually, look, it does, then they'll go back and say, well, no, there's not enough of it to prove that it does.
Exactly right. But say that he was absolutely right, and say that objects can retain memory and can retain emotions and things like that.
Well,
That
would
is
then,
absolutely
yeah, it would make sense
fascinating.
then, because then you're looking at, like you said, what is the feelings that people get when they pick up a haunted object. Say,
Yeah.
for instance, let's look at a mirror, okay, as a
Yeah.
classic example. You've got a mirror that was in a room and somebody died in that room. Is an element of that emotional, energy that came from that person dying trapped inside that mirror. So when you hold that mirror,
Yeah.
you feel the fear, you feel the pain, you get a result from that because it's recorded in that object and it gives it back to you. So it's not a case of there being a spirit trapped in an object.
Yeah.
It's more a case of the emotion is trapped in the object, and that's what you're picking up, which is what you were saying with psychometry. You can touch things
Absolutely.
and get that sense of how it is. You can feel the emotion in there. You can't feel the person, but you can feel what the person went through
Absolutely.
with that, which is when we said with the bayonet.
I mean, there's got to be. I mean, I've said this so many times on podcasts and when we talk about this stuff, but there's got to be something behind this, because the weirdest thing about psychometry is, based on my experience and other people's experiences, it can be very hit and miss. And psychometry is quite interesting. The word comes from the Greek psyche, meaning soul, and metron, meaning measure. And it is the ability to sense the history of an object through touch. That's basically where it comes from. And the word psychometry was actually coined by an American professor of physiology, and he was called Joseph Rhodes Buchanan in 1842. And he was one of the first guys to actually experiment with psychometry. And in the Journal of Man, back in 1887, he theorized that all objects have souls and can retain memories. So as far back as 1887, this was going on.
And you look at that, he's saying they've got souls and can retain memory, and you've got your French guy saying that molecules can hold a memory as well. So yes, you start to link the little bits together, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
So are they actually, like we said, rather than having a spirit trapped in them, they are really just storage units for memories?
Well, this is the other thing, because we know in the United States, for example, law enforcement officers and the police use people that perform psychometry. They will assist people in the police in solving crimes and things like that. They will be given objects, and quite often there is a proven success rate where murders have been solved. People have been able to give locations of people, and they've been able to find human bodies and things like that, and all kinds of different things. So if the police are using people to perform this, then there's got to be something in it, surely.
Yeah, makes sense. That's it's a rabbit hole to dive straight into,
isn't it?
And I mean, really, this is just discussion. It's me and Jules bouncing ideas off each other. But what we really hope is that you sort of feed back to us of what you think. We'd love to hear what you think about this.
And if you've ever had any experiences of this as well, have you ever held an object in your hand and had some kind of emotion, connection, images, or anything at all? Because this is a really big subject, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, we were saying about the number of museums that have sprung up that have objects, and they're everything. They're not just simple.
You could get them on eBay, for goodness sake.
Well, a lot of it is rubbish on eBay, and let's be honest. I mean, it is like, oh, here's a haunted doll, buy the haunted doll. But you've got other places that have like items of clothing.
Yeah.
Furniture. Well, we went through furniture in the last podcast with me furnishing your house with loads of spooky things.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yes, lovely.
I've got a great house now.
It's marvellous. Well, there's lots of spirits in it.
But not the alcoholic ones.
Not the alcoholic kind, no, unfortunately not. Yeah, and those chairs were a pain in the ass because you can't sit because every time you sit there, it throws you off on the floor.
I know, right?
It's not good.
No, and I couldn't get any sleep either.
I know. Looking in that mirror
Haunted
as well.
Bunk beds.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
All the figures standing in the corridor and the screaming and the moaning. A wang about.
But the other question, though, right, talking of haunted objects, are they actually haunted, or is it just scaremongering?
This is the thing, because it is, put that idea in somebody's head.
Yes.
You can then convince yourself that you're in a room full of objects, why they're so scary. The other thing is you've bought something in an antique shop, something that's a little bit weird, or something that you've picked up and found. We were talking about in one podcast, Bones on the Beach.
Yes.
We were talking about the, was it Whistle and I Come to You, My Lad, where he finds the bone whistle on the beach and blows it.
That.
Yeah, and there's the spirit inside that.
Oh.
So,
do you know what? I think, and I'm absolutely convinced of this, folks, my dad, right?
Yeah.
He had, and it's beautiful, right? It was a patient of his donkeys years ago made it for him, and it's a really pretty, beautiful wooden table. And the wooden table is actually made of a chunk of wood that was found on the beach.
Yeah.
And it was all cleaned up and varnished, and a beautiful chunk of wood. And then the chap put some legs underneath it, and hey presto, you have a very attractive wooden table. And my dad treasured this table, absolutely loved it. But I noticed, because when I bought my first house, typical Brassic, no money, whatever, and I was like, Dad, please help me, Dad.
Furnish my house.
I need furniture. So Dad lent me this table. Things started going wrong when I got that table. And I thought, okay, is it just me having bad luck, or is it this damn table? Because ever since that table had been in my house, I had misfortune. So I tested it. I took the table out of my house, put it in my garage. Things started to improve. I thought, okay, is this coincidence? Brought the table back into my house. Crap started happening again. I was like, oh, come on, really? Twice I took that table out of my house and put it in my garage. And every time I brought it back in the house, something bad would happen. So after that, I just said to my dad, can you put it back in your garage, please? I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I was convinced, absolutely convinced, that table was the cause of the misfortune. Now, what we don't know is where that piece of wood came from.
If it's from a shipwreck,
well, we don't know, do we?
You don't know. That's the thing. What is attached to it? What is in it?
Indeed.
Is there some kind of memory inside there?
Yeah, exactly. And it's wood. It's a natural product, isn't it?
Yeah.
So cells and all the rest.
Or was it just the fact that you convinced yourself that the table was the cause of it?
It could well be.
And was it coincidence when you took it out of your house? This is the thing.
Well, mind you, I did it several times, but then again, it still could be coincidence.
Yeah. And that is the thing you have to throw at this. But then when does coincidence become, no, it's not coincidence, it's fact?
Yeah.
Because like you said, you did it on a number of occasions.
Yeah, because I wanted to test it, because, doing the paranormal stuff, what we always have to do is test, disprove, test, try. It's all about that, isn't it? Trying to get to the bottom of something. Is something really going on, or is it just coincidence?
Yeah.
Could it be a series of things that are causing whatever phenomenon is happening?
Or is it I'm making it happen because my mind is working and saying, well, it's got to be this, so I'm blaming it on that.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, the fact that it sort of did it a few times, did Dad have the same problem with it?
Well, I don't know, because it had been in his garage for many, many years, so he didn't have it in the house.
Didn't really know, yeah. No.
So, but I just said to Dad, I just don't want it
in
the house. He thought I was just a bit of an idiot, and thought it was quite comical. But I just said, I don't want it back in the house. Really strange.
But sometimes you were telling me a story.
Yeah, what was that?
You went on holiday.
Yeah.
When you went on your cruise and you went to Pompeii.
Oh yeah, I loved Pompeii.
And you were telling me about something that someone told you when they were there about people taking things from Pompeii.
Yes. Absolutely. There was a thing, this is back in the day, they police it a lot more now, but people would love to take souvenirs.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot in Egypt, as we know as well. But Pompeii, that was one of the places to go, and still is. It's very beautiful and, well worth a visit, folks. It's very, very interesting. I learned a lot when I was there, and I've been twice. I'm quite lucky. But there were people, and they would take souvenirs. So they'd take, bits of white mosaic tiles or ceramic pieces, rocks, pebbles, fragments of architecture, that kind of thing. And quite a few of these people actually experienced deep misfortune and really bad luck or physical harm after they took these pieces. And they were absolutely convinced that it was these pieces that had caused the problem.
Yeah.
So much so that they actually started returning these artifacts that they had pinched back to the archaeological officer of Pompeii, who was Dr. Luana Toniolo or something. I don't know I'm not very good at pronouncing this. Toniolo, maybe.
Yeah.
Toniolo. It's Toniolo, I think. Toniolo.
Yeah.
Can't read my own writing. Rubbish. But this chap was saying that at one point he had several hundred with apology letters coming in.
Oh my
because
God.
word spread.
Yeah.
That, misfortune, and people started to communicate about it. And then all of a sudden, bang, let's blame all our misfortune on these items that we'd pinched from Pompeii. They need to go back again, and we need to send letters and apologise that we've pinched stuff. So, yeah.
That's incredible, because they associate bad luck with the site, because obviously what happened at Pompeii with the volcanic eruption and people were just buried. Yeah.
I've actually got upstairs a piece of volcanic lava that I picked up from the top of Vesuvius when I was there.
Not from Pompeii.
No, it wasn't from in Pompeii.
That's all right.
I was up on the volcano.
So it's from the volcano itself.
It's still live, that volcano.
Yeah, I know.
It
can go at any time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one down that way as well, isn't there? Etna is the other one that's still active as well.
Scary stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, it's a similar thing with, we all know the story of Tutankhamun as well.
Another classic.
Yeah.
Dig up the tomb, find it, be the first people to go there for thousands and thousands of years, break that seal on the tomb. But it's said that when they buried these kings, well, they buried the pharaohs in there, they'd place a curse on it as well. So the people actually open the tomb up, they'd release the curse.
Well, Tutankhamun, that curse wasn't ever actually proven.
No, it hasn't been proven.
Even in the hieroglyphs and everything, the hieroglyphics in the tomb and everything like that, it was never proven. I was lucky enough a few years ago to go into the original tomb, and it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't, amazingly beautiful or highly decorated. It was very plain.
Yeah.
I was amazed. But apparently that was because he was rushed in.
It wasn't.
And it wasn't finished.
I don't think it was his tomb. It was,
that's right.
Built for a priest or something, wasn't it? And they had to use it because he died.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, when was it? 1323 BC. I think he died at the age of 18. So he was a very young man.
18.
Very young man. Yeah.
I know his death was a strange one, wasn't it? Because apparently he'd got a club foot and all sorts wrong with him, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So,
well, there was a lot of interbreeding, wasn't there?
There was, yes.
Because they believed that, kings and pharaohs all had to be very pure blood.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of relations between brother and sister and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that carried on into later age as well, because Cleopatra is a classic example of that. I mean, she was married to her brother, and her parents, I think her parents were brother and sister as well, I do believe. So, there's a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Keep it in the family, so to speak.
It's like Norfolk.
Yeah.
Shouldn't say that,
Mustn't go there.
No.
And it goes on again into the sort of 18th century with the Habsburgs. Same again, interbreeding. It's interbreeding so bad that they breeded insanity into their own family.
Gosh, it's terrifying.
So, and there's a classic, you see pictures of the Habsburgs, and they've all got this Habsburg's chin, which is like really sticks out.
Jimmy Chin.
Yeah.
Big old Jimmy Chin.
It's all part and parcel of all the interbreeding.
Yeah.
How did we get onto interbreeding from haunted objects?
Well, that's you, isn't it, being part of the conversation?
You said it was Tutankhamun.
Well, it is.
Or did I say it was Tutankhamun?
Anyway, let's get back to our pharaoh. So we know that the British archaeologist Howard Carter was there in 1922 with his team. And he was joined at the expedition by the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, and he was a very keen amateur Egyptologist. And the reason why he was there was because he was funding the
Yeah,
project.
he put the money up for it, yeah.
He had all the money. Now, not long after disturbing the tomb, our dear Lord Carnarvon, he died in Cairo, and at the time of his death, all the city's lights were said to go out.
It's a great one, because now you're now at that sort of stage where it is it real or is it coincidence?
Was it Tutankhamun's curse, or was it just a coincidence?
Dodgy fuse in the Cairo Power Network.
Well, yeah, right? Who knows? And then there was a series of misfortunes.
So Moore actually pegged it, believe it or not. This is one of those ones where you can sort of run through a series of deaths and think, were they attached to it? So you've got Prince Al-Kami Fahmy Bey of Egypt, shot dead by his wife in 1923. And he was sort of there or thereabouts.
He was.
It was all done,
yeah.
So Archibald Douglas Reed, who supposedly x-rayed the pharaoh's mummy, he died mysteriously in 1924. Sir Lee Stack, the Governor General of the Sudan, was assassinated in Cairo in 1924. Another one is there or thereabouts from the stuff.
And it goes on.
Arthur Mesa of Carter's evacuation team was said to have died of arsenic poisoning in 1928. And Carter's secretary, Richard Bethel, supposedly died smothered in his bed in 1929. And his father committed suicide in 1930. So there's a whole raft of them attached to it.
Exactly, but Carter dismissed the whole lot. Said it was, in his own words, the curse of Tutankhamun was a load of Tommy rot.
Tommy rot.
Tommy rot.
Tommy rot. Yeah. I say, Carter himself died solitary, miserably unhappy of Hodgkinson's disease in his London flat in March 1939 at the age of 64.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course the curse becomes sensationalised.
Well, it did, because so many people pegged it.
So many people attached to the actual original opening of the tomb and the taking out of the objects, and when they're actually sort of studying all the things as well, everyone sort of involved in it, the list that we read out just now, all died.
Yeah.
So it's a classic curse. Cursed items, is it the items in the tomb that were cursed? Was it the tomb itself that was cursed? Maybe it was the seal they put on it. Did the actual priest at the time, the Egyptian priest, put a curse on that seal? But like we said, Carter says no, it's bollocks. It's Tommy rot. And
there was nothing to suggest it. But then it could just be passed down the generations to stop tomb robbing and grave robbing.
Yeah, which is a classic thing.
Yeah,
they do that. You know, we've got. We're going off track again a bit with haunted objects now, but we've got tales from along, especially on the coast here, where they make up stories to frighten people away from smuggling points.
Yeah.
So smugglers can get ashore without the local population seeing them. So they would do things like put lamps on their carts to make it look like it was a monster with two big eyes, and they'd spread stories about, headless ghosts and this sort of stuff to keep people away. So,
and I think a lot of it is for that very purpose, that these things just grew and grew. Chinese whispers, stories get bigger and more frightening as the years go on, and people really genuinely start to believe it, and they believe items are cursed or areas are cursed, because of these tiny stories that just start and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, everybody adds a little piece onto
exactly.
it, and you still get it now with stories from what we hear these days. I mean, it's a classic one I'm thinking of. What's that place? 30 East Drive in Pontefract, where the Black Monk apparently is.
Yes.
And all the stories are attached to that. Is the house cursed? Is there a poltergeist there? Has this happened? And the stories just grow and grow and grow. But when you go back and actually look at it in greater detail, you find that actually there was no monk there at all. It certainly wasn't a site where they hung people, because it wasn't the point of execution.
Yeah.
And someone just made it up.
Uh-huh.
So you're looking at things like Annabelle or Robert the Doll and all the other ones that have got these stories attached to them. Where did the stories start?
Exactly.
Who started those stories? Was it something to attract attention? We go back in a full circle round to Mr. Bagans, who we spoke about at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
He's got an item in his haunted museum that has stories revolve around it as well. The Dybbuk box.
Oh, yes.
That's supposed to have whatever it is inside it, a spirit or some kind. But I mean, you look into it in greater detail and you realise that actually it's just a bullshit story.
Well, exactly.
That someone's perhaps invented to try and sell this thing on eBay.
There's quite a few on there now.
There is. Because there's one genuine one, but all of
Yeah.
a sudden there's loads more of them.
Exactly.
I mean, I love the objects you find where, I think it's in his museum, I'm not entirely certain, where he's got a chest, a box, where someone was murdered. They were shut in the box and it killed them.
Oh gosh.
And apparently this box is cursed, and anybody who has it in their possession, dies a horrible death.
Oh.
And you're thinking, we could understand that. But then again, is that curse attached to it because of the incident that happened, and people then just sort of put two and two together and think, oh my God, that's what's going to happen. You go anywhere near that.
Do you know what interests me though? Zach has got this museum full of objects that if you touch them, if you own them, if you have them, you're going to die a terrible death.
Yeah.
He's still doing really well for
He's
himself,
not
isn't he?
dead yet, is he?
No, and thankfully he's still alive and kicking, and good for him, jolly good for him. But if it was true, he wouldn't be around now, would he?
No.
Because he's got a museum full of dangerous things,
Of cursed objects and haunted objects.
scary, dangerous things.
Yeah.
And he's still fine. He's doing really well.
Unless he's got them in special boxes.
Well, yeah, but even so, if you own this,
You're going, yeah.
Do you know,
You have to
right?
start asking questions.
So, I don't know. I mean, speaking from my own experience of psychometry and things like that, I can, and I have, not always successfully, because sometimes I will hold an object and somebody will have the history of it and I haven't got a clue and I get nothing.
Yeah.
And then other times I've held an object and I have picked up something and I've been spot on.
There's another one that I remember, and I'm going to say this on Ruffham.
Yeah.
When you touched that tail plane of that aircraft in the museum,
Yeah.
and you were saying to me about it, you were getting that sensation of someone really, really desperate and going round and round and round. He wanted to land and he couldn't.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I looked up the history of that plane
Yeah.
and found out that it was one of the ones that was...
Was it?
Yeah, that they were trying to get the plane down. They couldn't get the undercarriage down to land it.
Oh,
and they told him to go round again. They told him to go round again. Yeah.
So I was right.
You were right.
Oh,
we
my
couldn't
God.
get back in on the night to actually go and do it, did we? Because we went on the
No.
open day just to have a look round the place.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And then we went and investigated there. We couldn't get into that room. And we really wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I remember that one as well. That was another one where you just touched the object and said, this is really strange, but this story is really odd. But I can hear him saying it. I can hear him just saying, can we land? Can we land? And he's having to go round again. Why is he going round and round?
Do you know what, that was horrible, because I remember that, and I also picked up the fact that he was so frightened he actually urinated himself.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
That was really, and they were absolutely, those men were terrified.
Yeah.
Really, really frightened.
Well, you would be. You're doing that and you can't, you've
They were
badly shot up
terrified.
coming back from a raid and you want to land and you can't.
Yeah,
You know.
that was horrible.
Yeah. But that's not, I just suddenly come back to me. I remembered that one.
Mm.
You know. It's strange, isn't it?
And there's no way I could have known that.
No.
No way.
Well, it didn't say. It was just saying sort of wreckage. All it said was wreckage from such and such a plane.
Yeah.
And I went back because they gave us the serial number of the plane and the name. And I just took the serial number and the name of the plane and went and researched it.
Mm.
Okay. I mean, it was just, we went there on a
What was
Sunday
it?
to have a look around. It was
Can I just ask you though, was it easy for you to find, or did you really have to dig about to find that information?
You've got to know where you're looking.
Well, I wouldn't have a flipping clue.
No, I mean you wouldn't, because I said to you
Yeah.
when we do the air bases, if you get random names, please tell me the random names, because even though they sound completely stupid,
Yeah.
it could well be the names of the aircraft because they named all their aircraft. And you did.
That's true.
A couple of times when we were at Deetham. You gave me Dole, didn't you? And you
Yeah.
said, why does it keep saying Dole? It's
Yeah.
Dole.
Mm-hmm.
Dole. And I said, what, like Dole? He said, no, it's just like the word Dole. And there was a plane there called Dole, short for Dorothy, which is the pilot's wife.
Do you know what? My nanny's name was Dorothy,
Yeah.
and my granddad used to call my nanny Doll.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
lovely.
so,
He used to
yeah.
come in and go, Doll,
Yeah.
you all right, Doll?
And you kept going on to me about why am I getting Johnny? Why is someone saying, is it his name? Is Johnny his name? No, it's not his name. Why am I getting Johnny? But because the plane was Johnny Reb.
Oh.
So you see, it's the same again. That's why I said to you, you need to sort of say. But all of these objects, like I was saying with the plane at Ruffham, with the tail plane, this plane at Ruffham,
Yeah.
there's something attached to it. And people could say, "Oh, you just knew it was going to be a plane crash because it's wreckage from a plane."
Well, that's fair though. That's
But
fair.
it's the fact that you didn't just say, "Oh, it's a plane wreck." You actually said, "Why is he going round and round? Why is he going round and round?"
Yeah.
It's the fact that you actually came back and said what was going on.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have researched that because we turned up that day and you told me that information on the day we were there. We
Well, I
hadn't
was
been there
with you.
before. Yeah, we were just looking around. We went to have a look around at the place before we investigated, didn't we? Just
Yeah.
so you could get a bit of a feel for it.
And you were in the car with me, so there's no way I could have done a sneaky, cheaty look or
No.
anything because you were there the
No.
whole time.
And you actually were hungover that day as well.
Was I?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you'd had a bad night the night before.
Had I?
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't you
don't
remember?
that.
Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, we met Phil there and you were like, yeah.
Oh, vaguely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh my days.
So you weren't even on form, but you just picked that up. So
Oh my goodness. That was ages ago.
that was
wasn't
ages
it?
ago. Yeah. Yeah.
God.
But it always stuck with me because, like I said again, it's objects holding a memory.
Yeah.
So haunted objects, do they hold a memory? And cursed objects, are they really cursed, or is it a story that's been attached to them?
Or an emotion,
So this is it.
you know.
We could go down the demon route,
Oh yes. That's scary.
but I mean, this is another one that often comes up. The spirit that's inside this thing is demonic, and it hides inside a child's doll, so it can like jump out and steal your soul. Sorry, you
I'm
can
not sure
you can
about
guess that I
these.
don't believe in this, can't
No.
you? Because it's like watching a horror film.
It really is, but you've also got things like going back thousands of years, like genies in the bottle and things like that. You know.
Oh, the sort of the Tales of the Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
But I mean, jinn are genuine spirits.
That's right.
From that sort of area.
Yep.
Mainly from the sort of Islamic side of things.
That's right.
And they exist in the same space as us. They're sort of this another fascinating one you can get lost in completely, you know. And this wicked jinn or genie's done something bad. He's been sealed up inside a bottle, you know. And then you can release him by rubbing the bottle, and out he comes and gives you 3 wishes. I mean, it's great. It's fairy tale stuff, you know. But was there something original with that as well?
Well, this is the thing, isn't
know.
it?
Because jinn, according to Islamic faith, they do exist. They're there. You know, sometimes they can be good. Sometimes they can be incredibly bad. So, yeah. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? It does make you wonder indeed. But it's a fascinating subject. It's why I wanted to sort of touch on it in the podcast, because lots of people enjoy this sort of thing. Lots of people are into looking at these haunted museums and visiting them. And there's one.
It's just fascinating, isn't it?
There's one at Hinckley. I think it's at Hinckley, National Paranormal Research Centre, where they've got.
Is there?
Yeah.
Well, we need to go.
We do. I can't remember. I'm really sorry, but I can't remember the name of the place off the top of my head.
You talk and I'll Google.
Yeah, Google it. But they're a similar sort of thing. They open the museum up and you can actually go and stay the night there with the objects. They've got loads of them. Absolutely loads of them. And the same again, it's ranging from everything from a simple teacup, a bed, someone's hat, you know, all the sort of things that are there. It's
So we've got Nottingham. We've got Haunted Museum in Nottingham. Is that the one you're talking about?
no, it's Hinckley, I think.
Well,
It's
Hinckley's not far from Nottingham.
It's
is
Leicester, isn't it?
it? Yeah, it's not far.
We're,
though.
sorry, we're searching on Google here because
I'm doing a
and
Google hunt.
all you people there shouting now, aren't you? Saying, "I know where it is. I know what
I
he's
know,
talking
I
about.
know."
I've actually been there."
Oh, if you have, tell us what it's like.
I know lots of people go there, and I think they're very, very good because they were doing nights where you could just pay what you could.
There we go. Regent Street. Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre.
That's the one.
Oh, it's got 5 stars, folks.
Yeah.
As well. Closed at the moment.
Looks fascinating.
Yeah.
And I know the chaps from Haunted Magazine are sort of run events there,
Oh, no.
and you could actually go. And
It's got clown dolls.
oh,
come on.
You're not going there, Jules.
No.
This is one thing we were going to touch on as well, because
Oh.
when we were talking about it, and I made notes and I said, let's talk about things that frighten us, because we're both.
Oh, it's clowns for me.
You don't like clowns at all, do
really
you?
don't like clowns.
No, including like clown dolls. You must have hated Poltergeist then with that.
What was that?
That was my watch. It's
Oh,
okay.
for goodness sake.
It's telling me
It's your Apple Watch.
it's telling me to take a
Nice.
mindfulness moment and do some breathing exercises. It obviously knows I'm
look at
getting
this,
excited.
Nige, they've got demon connections in there. Oh, they've
I
got
thought
all
that said
sorts of
paranormal
things.
blanket for a minute then.
No, blackout. Not blanket. Paranormal blanket.
Well, you never know.
Well, do you have a paranormal blanket?
Might be.
don't have one.
Imagine a small child's blankie that's haunted by the small child.
Oh, that's creepy.
Oh, I wish I hadn't thought about that.
Oh,
That's horrible.
yeah.
What happened to the child? Why is he in the
But
blankie?
you do get paranormal cribs as well, where you can still hear the child crying and things
Ah,
like that, don't you?
yeah.
Old cribs.
Rocking backwards and forwards.
Yeah, we've all
Ooh,
seen them in the horror
we
films, haven't
have.
we?
Yeah. Do you know what I hate?
What?
Ventriloquist dummies.
Oh no, they're really creepy.
The
The
sinister,
really old
yeah, the
fashioned
1930s ones, you know, with the
Oh.
like,
Do you know what? My dad has got a really old sailor doll,
Oh God, no,
and
not
that is really creepy.
no.
But I actually like it in a way. But to look at it, you could see it in a horror movie because
Yeah.
it's got that kind of really scary.
Looking face.
Yeah, it's like got the face a bit like an old ventriloquist
Oh no,
dummy face and
I
a
hate
sailor
them.
hat, and
Yeah, I
it,
really don't like
it's
them.
the sort of doll you would see in a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's scary,
I'm coming towards you.
but yeah,
Right. And I hate mannequins.
I don't like mannequins at
But
all.
honestly, when you do museums where they've got
Yeah.
fucking mannequins,
I bet you liked Weird Science, the movie, though, didn't you?
Oh,
You
yeah.
liked that mannequin, didn't
she was
you?
a bit different.
Yeah, right. Every teenage boy's dream,
I'm just
wet dream.
going to make myself one of these. But yeah, we did. Oh God, where was it? Bloody hell! My memory shots. But Harwich Redoubt Fort, and they had a tin shelter mock-up in there,
Mm.
and Phil, who used to be in our group, was filming, and he stuck the camera through the screen, screamed at the top of his voice, and ran
Yeah.
away. But inside this bloody tin, there was a mannequin in the bed
Oh.
with its arms outstretched.
Oh no, that's
and he
not
just shat
nice.
himself.
I think I would, to be
Yeah.
honest.
But I don't like them. I really don't like
No.
them. I'm convinced they watch me, and I'm convinced they move.
There's something about
Yeah,
them, isn't
and they're
there?
horrible. Yeah, really horrible.
Yeah. What were those things on Doctor Who they
The
frightened me?
Autons.
Oh, the statues that if you shut your eyes, they
Oh,
move towards
Weeping
you.
Angels.
Oh God, I did not like those.
We've gone down another rabbit hole, haven't we?
Oh, down the rabbit hole we go.
Woohoo!
Nigel and Jules, off
Yep,
we go.
As we do.
Yeah,
But
it's fascinating.
in all this sort of random chatter, and yes, it is a bit more of an ad lib from us, and we haven't sort of scripted this, but we really wanted to sort of touch on it because we thought it was quite important to try and actually talk about where all this all came from. You know, old wives' tales, stories, how much it is fact, how much it is fiction.
Yeah,
And we really would love to hear from you guys. So if you want to tell us what you think, or if you've got a story yourself that you want to share, we'd love to read them out on here. We do
Yeah.
another episode where we actually sort of touch on
that's a really good idea.
the stories that you have. So if you email us at outthereParanormal@icloud.com, or is it .net? Oh,
Well, don't look at me. You set it up.
it's .com.
It is .com.
Yeah, outthereParanormal@icloud.com.
Okay. Do you
Our
want to pause the
website.
recording?
I'm going to pause the recording and just check to make sure I've got my email address right,
Good
because I'm
idea.
stupid. Hold on. Sorry for delay in programming. We're back now to Nigel and Juliet. And yes, the email address is out there. Oh, God. Out there group at iCloud.com. Okay, so if you have a story to tell, we'd like to hear your opinions as well. What do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think of these haunted objects?
Is it true or is it rubbish?
Exactly. Cursed items the same. What do you think? Is it old wives' tales or is there something to it?
Hmm.
So please message us and we'd love to read your stories out.
I had another one. I've just thought about it.
Go on in.
I used to have a necklace like a pentagon. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Necklace.
Yeah.
I've still got it in my jewellery box and I will not wear it
Ooh.
because every time I wear it, bad luck. Every time.
Wow.
Tried and tested.
Yeah.
And I will not wear it now because now this particular necklace, tried it 5 times. I've tried it and every time I've worn it, something bad happens during that day that I'm wearing it.
Right. You know what we've got to do now, don't you?
I'm not wearing it.
You're going to have to get that out of the box and wear it.
I'm not wearing
You're going
it.
to have to wear it.
No.
I'll wear it.
No. You can put it up on the website if you like and take a photo, but I will not be wearing
I
it.
will take a photo of it.
All right then.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But we're not going to wear it.
Actually, I can ask Dad if he can send us a picture of that table.
The table.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have both items. That'd be really cool.
Exactly.
Look and learn, ladies and gentlemen.
Look and learn. Look and learn.
We'll have to do this.
Yes.
Here's the pictures. Here's the voices.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
What was it we used to do as kids? Look and learn. What was it? Wasn't when we were little?
That was Look and Learn, yeah.
Was it Look and
They
Learn?
were like
when
books,
we were
weren't they?
children?
Yeah,
Look
you
and
could get the
Learn.
book and read them, and they'd have pictures in.
Look and learn. Oh, it's nice, isn't it? Back
All-
there again.
All of us look and listen. Yeah. I used to have lots of Ladybird books when I was young.
Oh, what did I have? I had Peter and Jane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peter throws the ball, Jane catches the ball. And I think they had a dog as well.
I can't remember the dog's name.
No. And do you guys know what the dog's name was?
There, see, it's question
Peter
time.
and Jane.
Peter and Jane and a dog. If you can name the dog, you'll get a prize. No, I shouldn't say that, should I?
We've got some merch.
Well, you have. I'm going to have to look the bloody dog's name up now, aren't I, to
Yeah,
make sure I
right.
get it right. Hold on, we're just going to pause for a moment while we look on Google again. Honestly. But there we go. A little bit random, a little bit
was.
waffly from us, but we hope you got something out of it because we did sort of cover a lot of ground.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With some sort of interesting facts,
Yeah, good stuff.
strange stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
And next time, as the last part of this three-parter, I've got some cursed objects.
Yeah. Oh, come off it.
Cursed objects.
Cursed.
So I'm not going to put cursed objects in your
Oh,
house.
Come on.
I'm not gonna-
I don't want any more.
There's no cursed furniture. Actually, there is.
Oh, no.
But I'm not putting it in your house. Don't worry.
Where's it going then?
I'm just going to tell you about
In
it.
my car, I suppose.
No.
No?
I'm not going to. They're not going to come anywhere near us. I'm
In my
just going to
garden? What?
tell you the stories.
Okay.
But you might like one of the cursed objects.
Why? Where's it going?
It's a big diamond.
Oh, ooh, diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Dee.
You know what they say.
I'm not sure you want this one then.
Okay.
But there we go. So, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's a good night from me.
And it's good night from me.
See you all again very soon. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.